And welcome back to TVS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. I'm John Daly. This segment is brought to you by Sellworthy. Need to tell your company's story digitally and online? Just go to sellworthy.com, and Sellworthy is spelled with one L. So it is a tough time for sports broadcasters. My next guest, Lynn Carroll, is an award-winning sports broadcaster who has covered college and pro sports, but she is so much more. Amber is also a life coach. She runs a nonprofit to end the stigma surrounding mental health while spreading suicide awareness after losing her brother to suicide. She is also the wife of Major League Baseball pitcher Cody Carroll of the Baltimore Orioles. Lynn Carroll, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's great to talk with you.
It's great to talk to you as well. So tell me, how scary was the news for you and Cody this week with the Orioles ready to play the Marlins in Florida?
You know, actually, I had woken up to the story had broke on Twitter that they would be postponing the game. And to my amazement, I called my husband, and he was still asleep. Most of the team had no idea, but, they were just told, stay in your room. A little scary, absolutely, for us, knowing you're that close to all of that down there anyways, going that way. But to hear that, and thankfully, they had not gotten to the field yet, and had not been exposed to it, but certainly something to be very cautious of.
Now, we're talking on Thursday, so we've heard a number of games have already been canceled. What are you hearing that what might be happening with baseball for this season?
I know they're kind of navigating it week by week, just trying to do the best they can. I know the guys and their families, I really have to attest to that, have held each other accountable, whether that's quarantining fully, not going anywhere besides the field. That means not getting to see family and all of that. But they're really, from what I've heard, just trying to take it week by week. And, of course, the Marlins in a tough spot right now. You got to feel bad for those guys.
It must be tough for you being a reporter, even though you're not working now as a reporter, and also a family member who might know things. Do you have to kind of weigh that, one against the other?
After Cody and I started dating, and we actually knew each other from high school, it really, I think for the better, changed my perspective as a sports reporter. And to know what they go through each and every day, it really helped me to get on kind of a ground level with them. And like you said, you take things here and there with a grain of salt, but they're kind of their true feelings probably behind what they say and what they actually say on TV. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and that says a lot. A lot of reporters don't have the empathy, and obviously you do. This is TVS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. I'm John Daly. Lynn Carroll is an award-winning sports broadcaster based out of Nashville, although she's talking to us from Baltimore. She has covered college and pro sports up and down the East Coast. She is also a life coach, and she started WeAreTeamJake.com, a nonprofit to end the stigma surrounding mental health and suicide. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Let's talk about your broadcast career. What was your last gig, and did COVID or did Cody have more of a bigger impact of why you're not on the air right now?
That's an excellent question, and I actually really appreciate that. We were in Savannah, Georgia. I was at a station there, absolutely loved my job, loved the people I worked with. One of my favorite places, just a great place for local sports. And I obviously got to cover a lot of great sports in that area, collegiate-wise. But, COVID obviously right now is a big reason. We were definitely looking forward to me getting back in the game, I guess, as you could say. But with Cody and his unique career path, him being given the chance of an opportunity of a lifetime, when your husband says, hey, I need you by my side, you made a promise and an oath to a person and you drop everything to help them, regardless, of the circumstance. It's always there and has the flexibility, which I really appreciate, the freelance opportunities, the contract opportunities, and it runs deep in my veins, and it's my passion, storytelling. But, at that moment and having to make that decision, it was a no-brainer, knowing to go and support the guy who always supports you.
That's great. Would you be looking for gigs, on-camera gigs around the Baltimore area?
I wouldn't shy away from it. I had always thought about that, and several people have asked me if I would do that, especially kind of scrutiny, getting threatening messages or whatnot. But it doesn't scare me. I would honestly, I love the people here. It's a unique town, and a unique place, and I've really fallen in love with it since we've been here.
I'm John Daly. Lynn Carroll is an award-winning sports broadcaster. She's out of Nashville. She's now in Baltimore. She has covered college and pro sports up and down the East Coast. She is also a life coach, and she started weareteamjake.com, a nonprofit to end the stigma surrounding mental health and suicide. Let's talk about We Are Team Jake and how you lost your brother Jake in January of 2019 and how that changed your life.
Absolutely. Well, it was definitely earth-shattering, to say the least, for us, and but really eye-opening to what he was experiencing. Make a long story short, he used journals to help therapy, help cope, help talk about what he was thinking, and we found these journals, began to read them and understand what he was going through. But the most interesting part to me was I had no idea. He thought and experienced things that I personally thought and experienced, and I thought I was alone. And in that way, he helped me so much. And it turned into using a lot of his words that he told people and even wrote in his journals to possibly just help people know that they are not alone. And, Jake was an incredible guy, a fun guy to be around. And we just want to use his life as an example of love and light to all, and that you're never alone.
Well, you talk about, you're not alone, but I got to think that that's pretty tough now with the COVID and suicides are up with this pandemic. Do you have any suggestions for folks and what you've been doing?
Absolutely. And like you just touched on, suicide numbers have grown significantly. And it's just, of course, a lot of us have roommates or partners that we live with, and kind of take that for granted. Of course, having to quarantine with someone, but think about the people who don't have family, are single or stationed somewhere for work, and the medical workers. And it's just very prevalent right now. And but there's so many great aspects of the community that we rarely get to see, and there's so many free mental health opportunities, local crisis centers. If you Google your local crisis center, there are several organizations within each major city that you can either get someone on the phone and get free therapy. There's just, the numbers are endless, and I wish it was advertised more, because mental health is not as recognized as physical health yet to the insurance world. So that's definitely something that I hope that the future of the United States can work on and get people the help they need. But we've got some great organizations all around America, and these crisis centers that do offer that free help and that are there for you 24/7.
Just if you can real briefly talk about the fact that that's somebody who's in trouble who has to make the initial move, but a lot of people won't. Talk about people who have to be aware of other people surrounding them that maybe need that reach out. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely. And, it is hard for some people to vocalize. I heard the best quote earlier, it might look super calm and collective on the outside, but on the inside, I'm screaming. And that's so prevalent, I believe, nowadays, because, you see social media, you see people out there living their best life. What you don't see goes on behind closed doors, and I think that plays a big part of it. That's a whole nother subject. But really, just touching base with your friends, calling people, letting them know you love them, just even a simple text message, or even, hey, I hope you're doing great. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, I believe it's suicidepreventionlifeline.com, I believe. But if you Google Suicide Prevention Lifeline, it will pop up the exact numbers, and you can call it 24/7. They actually have a veteran Spanish-speaking hotline as well. But the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, they are incredible. They are actually the ones who go and implement these crisis centers. So, and a lot of it is funded by local communities. So they've done a great job with that all around the U.S.
All right. We got about a minute, a little less than a minute. Talk about becoming a life coach. What led to that?
I think that stemmed from being a journalist, and I love asking those questions, kind of that Tom Rinaldi, ESPN, those stories that people tell. Everyone has a story, and that's been my passion for a long time, is helping people find their story. And I've always truly believed that, and I think it comes from being a journalist at heart.
Of Orioles pitcher Cody Carroll. Amber, thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you do and how you're contributing to society. I'm definitely going to have you on again. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you so much. It was great to speak with you, and I always enjoy being on.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, be sure to enjoy the TVS Sports Network, a 24/7 streaming channel that features 60 years of classic and current TV sports. TVS Sports Network. Watch for free at tvstvnetworks.com. Up next, JJ and his many stories.
The TVS Television Network, for decades your home for great sports TV, is back. You can watch 6 TVS sports channels now streaming on watchyour.tv. It's free and it's on the internet as well as on Roku, Android, and iPhone and iPad apps. Watch TVS Sports Network, TVS Classic Sports Network, TVS Turbo Sports Network, TVS Women's Sports Network, TVS Tavern Sports Network, and TVS Boxing Network. That's TVS Television Network. 6 free channels at watchyour.tv.